Let's get started. I like to start class with an inspirational quote. They always say time changes things, but you actually have to change them for yourself. This is a quote by the artist Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol is most known for his screen prints he did as a leader in the pop art movement. We're going to talk a little bit more about his work later on today. I like to start art class with a warm-up. These are called the blind contour line drawing warm-ups. Blind means without looking at the paper as you draw, and the contour lines are the lines that create form of an object, like in the example of the apple right here. The bottom of the page shows examples of portraits done a blind contour. As you can tell, those portraits are not exactly with everything in the where it's supposed to be. So this is just a fun warm-up to try to look at all the lines in an object without being so worried about everything being in the exact place. Let's get started. Your first warm-up is going to be to draw your hand without looking at the paper. The way I like to do these is to have my paper at one side of my work area and then have my object, what I'm drawing, in the other area. You can pause the video and set your own timer for a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on how long you want to do your warm-up. Good luck, artists! I hope that was fun for you. The next blind contour drawing we're going to do is of the sunflower on the screen. If you have another flower in your house, you can use that instead. Remember, keep your paper on one side of your work area and the object you're drawing on the other. And your goal is to not look at the paper while you're drawing, and to just focus on the lines that make up an object. Good luck, artists! Cool. Well, let's jump in. Today marks the last day of the first quarter, and you guys have made so many projects and talked about all of the elements of art. Here's all of the projects that you all worked on this year. I don't know if I can even pick my favorite project. Which was your favorite project? Today, we are going to talk about patterns. Let's get started. Patterns. A pattern is a design in which lines, shapes, forms, or colors are repeated. I'm sitting in front of my favorite pattern right here. It's a tie-dye pattern. In a pattern, there is a motif, and the motif is an element in the design which is repeated over and over again. Let's look at some examples. In this example of a pattern, the pattern is a pattern of the word patterns. So the motif is the word patterns. Cool. Let's take a look at these 3 examples. In example A, what do you guys think is the motif in this pattern? If you guessed a heart, then you were right. Let's take a look at example B. The pattern in this has a motif of a little snail. Let's look at example C. In example C, this pattern has more than one motif. I notice pumpkins, leaves, and another type of leaf. So it has 3 different motifs. It's cool to be able to break down a pattern into the type of motif that repeats. Now let's take a look at these naturally occurring patterns. I love patterns because you see them everywhere. when you're outside, walking around, maybe in your garden, or looking at the side of wood on a fence. Everywhere we look, we're surrounded by naturally occurring patterns. Here are some examples of patterns in art. These are two pieces by the artist Chuck Sperry. Looking at his work, what motif do you notice that Chuck Sperry uses in his work? I notice a lot of natural elements. This is another example of an artist who uses patterns in their work. The artist's name is Alex Grey. What motif or motifs does Alex Grey use in his work? And here are some examples of Andy Warhol's artwork. Andy Warhol used patterns in his work, creating commentary on different images from pop culture. So his motifs were reoccurring images from things they saw on TV or in the grocery store. What else do you notice about Andy Warhol's artwork? Now it's your turn. Your challenge for this week is to create a pattern that has never been made before. Your first step is to choose your motif. The motif must be something that you draw from observation. For example, right here, there's a leaf motif. Your second step is to draw it again and again and again and again and again and again. You had to draw your motif at least 6 times. So your pattern has at least 6 repeated images in it. I cannot wait to see what you guys create. Things to think about while you're working on this project are the arrangement of the motif on the page, and I've been really pushing you guys to work big. The bigger you work, the bigger the challenge you have. I am so excited to see what you guys create from this project. Shoot me an email with any questions, and I will see you guys soon. Have a great fall break. Adios.